Hi, I'm Dr. Matthew Stay. I own and operate National Pike Chiropractic out of Brownsville, Pennsylvania. I feel I have a pretty unique story in that, when I purchased my office in the fall of 2019, I had every intention of shifting it to a more, evidence-based type of operation. The office itself had been here for a while, and it was a traditional chiropractic office that did pretty well. And I knew I was going to ruffle some feathers with the new approach. Then COVID-19 hit. I think like most chiropractors or entrepreneurs even, I wanted to grow my office and I wanted to have a bigger impact in my community. Ultimately I wanted to be able to create more free time for me and my family. And for me that looked like being able to hire another chiropractor. After COVID, we just couldn't really get back to the level of consistency that the office had seen, prior to. And we would have a few good weeks, and then we'd have some really bad ones, and it was getting really frustrating. At first, I was starting to have to think about maybe making some difficult staffing decisions. And then that thought process quickly turned to man, do I really even want to own a practice anymore? There were certainly some tough conversations between my wife and I about our future for sure. I started with MCM January 1st of 2025. I had used some different coaching consulting groups in the past, and it really didn't align with my philosophy and kind of just led to more stagnation at the office. That whole time, I was aware of Dr. Christie and what he was doing with his podcast. Even before the MCM offered coaching, I was actually even one of the podcasts in January 2022 discussing the transformation of my office. However, I was just hesitant to try another option at the time. So, I guess I was just scared that I didn't want to experience the same old thing. And, I was just in a bad place where I was blaming insurance companies and the blue collar nature of my area. So, I just put it off for a couple of years. Joining the group has provided me with three very important things. First and foremost, a marketing strategy. Prior to starting with MCM, I really didn't have one, and mine's far from perfect, but it's definitely getting better every day. Secondly, it's got me off my island. As a solo practitioner, I find the group coaching calls to be invaluable because you're connecting with like-minded doctors who are going through the same things, and it helps you to develop ideas, things that you can use in your own practice. And then from there, working with your coach one-on-one, which is what I do. Teasing out some of those ideas, or maybe working through a difficult aspect of practice. I find that very invaluable. Lastly, it's provided me with clarity of focus. I feel like my office had good bones about it going in, but I had trouble focusing my time and energy on the things that mattered. And I just felt like my weekly planner was constantly filled to the brim of things that needed to be done in order to grow the office effectively. As I'm recording this at the end of August 2025, revenue is up $50,000 compared to this point of last year, and I've even managed to shed some of my overhead, which includes the constant ink consumption for my weekly planners. This has not only helped me focus on what matters, in growing my office, but more importantly, has certainly provided me more free time for my family and the crazy life that we live. I'm not quite ready to hire an associate yet, and quite honestly, I'm still a few years away from that. But I have started getting interns coming into the office from the new University of Pitt Chiropractic School. And so we have a game plan in place there, and it's nice because we can see the light at the end of the tunnel now. Honestly, if you're an evidence-based chiropractor or sports type chiropractor, you should be here. I constantly kick myself for not pulling the trigger earlier. Don't be like me. I'm truly excited to continue working with Dr. Christie and the MCM group, and I'm excited for what the future holds for me in my office and my family. Thank you.